This is starting to become annoying. I'm not sure why I bother with you incompetent idiots. All right, I'll try this one more time. You are my most elite troops. I'm sending you down to the planet's surface to destroy those troublemakers. Now go! Oh, and if you have to destroy Gadgetron to get rid of them, so be it.
Alright, welcome back to Let's Play Ratchet and Clank HD. So we are headed to planet Kalebo III, where the Gadgetron headquarters is. We're here to defend it from the Blarg Special Forces, or the Blarg Elite Guards as they're known. And there's some of the toughest enemies in the game, mainly because of their range that they can hit you from, and their mobility. They all take 3 hits to kill, so they're pretty challenging compared to what we've been fighting. And a lot of weapons are not effective against them purely because of the fact that they're always floating around their jetpacks. So we have to use something that can either seek in on them or something we can sort of aim vertically. There's a lot of weapons that are just not effective against them. Also, if they get a lock on you, they can hit you from pretty much clear across the map. And they will do so. A lot of times you have to get within a certain range to aggro them, and then they will just shoot you, like, they will shoot you if they see you, pretty much. And all of them will follow suit. So as you can see, they have these nice blasters here that they will actually actively track us as they're firing, but they only fire in 3-shot bursts and then they stop. So with these guys, I'm using the strength mechanic of the thruster pack, and I'm getting in nice and close here. Then we have these bomb guys. You remember them from Gaspar, and we can just wallop them out of the way as we did before. These guys are quite common here on Kalebo III. This is actually a pretty cool planet. One of my favorite planets in the game from a visual standpoint. I just don't like the music all that well, and some of the game mechanics of this level are pretty frustrating. But I like that it's another city level. I didn't think there was enough of these in the first game. I thought they really flesh out the lore, so to speak, of the world. I'm getting pretty good at dodging, I guess. So these force fields right here are deactivated with the button, of course. This is kind of like a little buffer zone right here if you had a hard time fighting those guys, which you probably will your first time through the game, admittedly. I know I did. But yeah, I use like a good rest stop right here. It also is where the level loops around to the beginning once you finish it. As I've said, most levels tend to do that. So before we go any further, I want to go off the beaten path here and do another side objective for this level. The only main secondary objective is another grind boot rail, and much like in later games in the series, it's going to take us through the city, and we're going to see all the little floating hover cars, which I think I might have mentioned back on Metropolis, that I think the floating hover cars take a lot of reference from, you know, Coruscant from Star Wars and that kind of thing. I'm actually going to bring the blaster back out again because I put it away. I took it away from my quick select there to get the Tesla Claw, but now I kind of want it back to destroy these guys dropping off the mines here. You can use your wrench on them, or you can just shoot them before they get close to you. Or you can just jump over them, it's whatever you prefer. So there's a particular pattern to these trains coming through here, so obviously we're going to be jumping out of the way. The first thing I want to do here is get a gold bolt that's on the path here, and that's going to require me to flip all these switches as we go along. So I'm going to have to go off the required path. Some of these paths loop around, so I just kind of have the thing memorized. And then trying to get all these switches here, hopefully quick enough to where I can get the force field at the end to unlock, because if you fail to deactivate the force field, then you'll just crash into it and die. There we go. Or you can just not take that path and just continue going on to the end where our actual objective is. So we looped around there. But again, the only purpose to that part of the rail is just to get those couple of... those are some very tricky jumps to make right there. Get those couple of switches back there. And these guys you can kind of see coming from miles, so you have time to get out of the way. These guys, right afterward though, they come up on you pretty fast. You don't have nearly as much time to react. And the blaster, I feel like, is just a little bit safer, that you don't have to worry about timing your jumps or your wrench movements or anything like that, because it just kind of goes straight. All right, we got all the force fields deactivated. Otherwise, that would be where we would crash into a thingy and die. So all these guys that managed to survive after dropping off their bombs have all kind of parked here to put themselves as obstacles in our way. So we're just going to wrench them out of the way, of course. There's a whole bunch of these guys just parked right. It's like, okay, well, we did our job. Now what do? We just stand here and block his way because he dodged all of our bombs. Alright, so we get the gold bolt. This jump right here is actually very tricky to make. I don't know why I had such a hard time with it, but I actually lose a couple seconds there in the edit because the cut that I did where I actually make the jump, unfortunately I lost the beginning of that footage, so I couldn't actually show it on screen. Then I have my ass handed to me here at the end by all these bombs because I'm so, like, jarred from my reaction there. But we made it. Like I said, that's just a very tricky jump there at the end.
Oh, man. Come here often?
Actually, I work here, so I come here all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I've been following your progress. Here, shh, take this. It's a map-o-matic. It will be very helpful.
I'll see you later.
Bye, sweetie.
I think she likes me.
I don't know. I ship it.
Can be used to find
Alright, so we get the Map-O-Matic, and I guess that's who... I feel bad for skipping all of her help messages now. She gave us quite a good item. Yeah, she's the help desk lady that's been helping us out the entire game, and we've been skipping over all her stuff, so I can explain it instead. So, a Map-O-Matic is an item I've been talking about earlier in the game. It's going to expose all the secret areas in the maps and highlight them green if you've not been there yet, and that's how you're going to fight. That's how you're going to find all the remaining gold bolts in the game. If you haven't already, that's how you're going to be able to backtrack to planets that still have them and find them. So that's going to set us up for New Game Plus if we want to get all the gold bolts in the game, which eventually we will. So now that I've used the metal detector here, there's a certain area I want to jump down to for another little Easter egg, another gold bolt, which obviously this is sort of your tutorial on how to use the Map-O-Matic, because the game puts you in an environment. There's a little teleporter down here that takes us to the most important room in the game. The Gadgetron Employee Break Room. Behold. Man, there's sure a lot of Gadgetron employees in here, and they must be all on lunch or something. Though, I hope they don't mind if I just take this gold bolt, I mean. They're pretty tough, too. I guess we can't suck them up with the suck cannon or anything. Huh, that's a shame. We'll leave them alone. And being a Gadgetron employee must be hard. I mean, you're either a robot or you're a chicken, I mean. Anyway, we're going to head back to the beginning of the level and try this again, going the correct path now. I'm not sure if there are any skill points on this level for destroying the airborne vehicles like there was in Metropolis. I really don't think there is. We're going to need that health. I'll just suck up these guys and use them against the incoming enemies. So, unfortunately with this level, there are a couple of sequences that you can't skip or you can't make them go any faster. You're locked in these rooms and you have to fight these new enemies called test dummies, which are pretty obvious by the way they look. And they are basically testing Gadgetron weapons on each other. So we are going to be just killing them as fast as we can before they kill each other. Or kill us in the process, and then it's gonna let us through. So that's unfortunate that we have to, as a tourist, walk through a weapon testing chamber to get through the other side. That's very inconvenient and poor design, but we won't question that at all. Right there, they're just testing out the bomb glove, and they will be testing out other weapons as we go. So 3 more League guards here. We can try to use the suck cannon on them. I may end up getting hit here. Yes, I did. So I ended up just destroying my cover there with that one. I got rid of one of them. I got hit again. That sucks. Yeah, that did not go well. I may want to just go ahead and switch to the Devastator. The Devastator is actually reasonable to use against them. I've been holding off on just spamming it against a lot of enemies, but yeah, it's quite good. I may go ahead and use the Mind Glove Taunter combo here if I have enough range. I don't think I have enough range right now. Let me try it. Not quite. Okay, yeah, it's not enough range to pick up on them, so let's try this again. I may have to sort of strafe out of cover here and... Oh, I got the health. That's good. There we go. And it failed to even reach them, so let's try that again. And he just shot it. These guys are pretty tough, like I said, so I may just have to use the Tesla Claw or the Devastator. I'm trying to be clever, but, you know, that's not always a feasible option. So now that we don't need these anymore as cover, we're just going to destroy them and get the bolts from them, because they usually drop some pretty good bolts. So this area can be kind of tricky, because as soon as we deactivate that force field and fly down there, there's going to be, I need to get the blaster out again, there's going to be some more of those bomb guys that are going to be coming out here, so I need to aggro them first, and get to where they can detonate, and, or at least deactivate it so I can aggro them and get them to fly up here, and deal with them where I have space to deal with them, so that way I'm not trapped in that room fighting them, which is really dangerous. Come on. I may just have to go down there and deal with them the old-fashioned way. They're not going to be where I expect them to be, though. Whoops, that was close. Okay. I love how the Walloper just launches them clear across the map, though. It's absolutely hysterical. Alright, so speaking of the Walloper, these guys are going to be testing the Walloper, but fortunately they are pretty inept at it. They are not able really to hit us at all. They kind of just lunge back and forth in an arbitrary direction. They don't really aim it towards us, and they don't do nearly the damage that we do to them, which is good. Now this is by far the easiest one of the three. So we get more of these guys here. There's another armed transport up there, which I don't think it will shoot at us if we get too close to it, but it's just there to drop off some guys. We'll be taking it out later on. We go ahead and take these guys out with the Devastator. Again, my first time through the game, I was very apprehensive to use the Devastator just by blind firing it from the hip like that. I almost thought I had to go into first person to acquire a decent lock, but really it's pretty smart. It homes in on the enemies almost flawlessly if you fire it correctly, so... It's a very, very, very good weapon in that regard. All the rocket launchers and all the following Ratchet and Clank games are also the same way, but they behave slightly differently. But they still have a homing capability to a degree. It's usually not quite as intense as this one is, and the projectiles move a lot faster, so they can be knocked off course potentially. After this swing shot target, I'm going to land over here so I can deactivate the force field before moving forward, because if I just continued on the two swing shot targets there, I'd run right into it and kind of be stuck fighting these enemies down here. So now that they've been turned into Gadatron employees, we can go ahead and continue what we were doing. Kind of regretting taking the blaster off my quick select, but I couldn't think of anything else that really would have been appropriate, so... Brief grind rail just so we didn't forget about them, I suppose. Yeah, while I still think the suck cannon is a good substitute for sort of a poor man's Devastator at times, it's so hard to hit these guys with the projectiles because they go in such a weird pattern when you fire it. So I didn't feel like sucking up those guys. I might actually have full ammo for the suck cannon right now, I'm not sure. So these guys are using the Porositor, which is probably the most dangerous weapon out of all the ones that the test dummies are using, because it just makes it hard to... there's not a lot of room to breathe when there's flames all around you in the room. And it's just kind of hard to get a lock on them when they're in your way, essentially, with the their mass that they occupy, they can do damage to, is just so much larger that it just makes it more difficult. So we got that over and done with, and now this is probably the biggest encounter in this level, if not in the game so far. We have like 5 or 6 of these Blarg Elite Guards, and we have the chomping bots, we have the bomb guys over there, and we have one of the armed dropships as well, which the armed dropships are very, very tough. We're talking like 3 or 4 hits with a Devastator, which is more than 10 damage, I'd imagine. So it's definitely the toughest enemy in the game as far as health goes, the toughest regular non-boss enemy in the game. And its projectiles are it basically has its own missile launcher, and it homes in on us almost as well as the Devastator does, except faster. So remember those rockets that those starfighters were firing at us? How those kind of went in a straight line, we were able to dodge them pretty easily. This is not the case. We definitely want to destroy this thing before it gets in range, because it will hit us. It has a huge amount of splash damage from those shots, as you can see. It kind of like comes in at an angle at us and just wrecks. So yeah, we're gonna be staying away from that and dealing with the last of this guy. and then just unloading on this thing. Still there. It's 3 hits the Devastator. Alright, so 4 does it. So that's a total of, what, 12 to 15 damage? That's pretty ridiculous. But, you know, it's a worthy challenge. If anything, there should have been more enemies that took a obscene amount of hit for, you know, for challenge purposes. Maybe a New Game Plus, but, you know, we get that later on in the series, so it's okay. So we have one more test chamber to go through, but thankfully this one does not box us in. And it uses all 3 different types of test dummies here. But they're a lot easier to deal with because we can actually face the arena from the side and actually deal with them however we choose to, because we have the room to maneuver. We're not forced with that awkward fixed camera. So I can use the blaster or the Tesla coil against them, and it'll work out just fine. I'll probably never use the blaster again until the end of the game, so I might as well go ahead and use that now. Speaking of which, we're getting pretty close to the end of the game here. We only have a few more videos to go. After this planet, we can backtrack back to Core 2, and then we'll be able to go intercept Drek's fleet. So, we're getting there. Unfortunately, I have to deal with the majority of these guys to unlock the door again. Stop spawning! Alright, that deals with that. There's some bolts in here, then we reach our objective.